Right, and let's take you now to Nigeria, where President Muhammad Buhari has signed the 2022 budget into law. Now, the signing of the budget comes 2 weeks after the Senate and House of Reps passed the bill presented by the president a few weeks earlier. Now, the lawmakers had approved a total of expenditure of 17.1 trillion naira against the 16.3 trillion proposed by the president in October.
Now, over 700 billion naira was added to the proposed appropriation. The 2019 budget was about 8.97 trillion naira, while this year's budget is 3.5 trillion naira higher than the 2021 budget, which was 19.59 trillion naira. And those who witnessed the signing of the budget include Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, Senate President Ahmad Lawan, and the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Femi Gbajabiamila. Now, to give us an insight into the significance of the budget, we're joined by Gospel Obele. He is Chief Economist to Streetnomics. So many thanks for joining, Gospel. Now, the budget of over 17 trillion naira was signed by President Muhammad Buhari on Friday last year. Kindly shed more light on the economic pros and cons.
Yeah, it's quite impressive that we are back to a January to December calendar year for the budget. The budget is just simply a policy instrument, used to finance, or an instrument used to finance government policies and programs for the fiscal year. To a very large extent, as expected, would be a very huge deficit budget because of the expenditure and revenue aspirations as well. Deficits to a large extent also are not they're enormous globally. Every country in the world has some form of budget deficits more than budget surplus and all that. However, in the Nigerian situation, the challenge of misalignment has been the concentration on recurrent than capital. And we've also seen over the years that there is a strong implementation on the recurrent side than the capital side of the budget. I've also seen that the pipelines through which these monies are being, transferred into policy programs and initiatives are a bit weak in terms of institutional capacity and strength to engage critical development financing solutions. Here I'm talking about the MDAs, the ministry, departments, and agencies. So for the budget to be a lot more effective than it has been in previous years, there has to be an upscaling and closing of leakages along the value chain, especially for the MDAs. We're also faced with the challenge of the fact that 2022 is a pre-election year, and as such, there are a lot of political correctness questions when it comes to how budget will be used as an instrument to drive economic aspirations. Because then again, economic aspirations will be at the altar of political priorities or the interest of the political economy ahead of the elections in 2023. But it's going to be a highly activity-driven year. We're expecting that programs and initiatives that will be rolled out will be done from an angle of what's priority to Nigerians, and as well as what is much more needed for us to jump on the global recovery pool, as estimated by the IMF. Yeah.
All right, Gospel, but one question that will really bother on the minds of Nigerians, because a large chunk of this 2022 budget has, as usual, going into debt servicing. Now, what are your thoughts on this one yet again?
Well, debts are normal. Debts are normal to a very large extent. In fact, more developed economies have significant debt figures than Nigeria. I don't want to go into too much technical details now, but the truth is that since debts are normal, the conversation is what are those debt figures or debts, as it were, used for? In terms of debt financing now, how do we channel debt financing into more productive / investment-based sectors such that we can recover productively, and then we're being able to service this debt as well as pay them off. But at the moment, with the structure of a Nigerian budget being more recurrent than capital, we find a situation where debt financing is also being used, to finance recurrent expenditure, which is not sustainable, which is not productive, which is not smart in the mid to long term. So that's why it's a call for worry, right? It's not really a conversion of debt, it's a conversion of what the debt financing has been targeted towards. and in that space, I don't think we've done well in terms of public finance governance and how we are deploying debt as a tool, all right, for critical capital expenditure and of taking productive financing of the Nigerian economy to kickstart inclusively. So it's a call for worry.
Okay, so now, Gospel, I mean, looking at the 2022 budget, debt servicing was pegged at 3.80 trillion. With our, if you look at the expenditure, the amount of money we were to spend, it's pegged at 17.12 trillion naira. Now, the president came out when he signed the budget into law. It was reported to have expressed worries over the insertion of new projects, over 5,000 new projects, among other things, which raised the budget figure from what he initially presented. Is this strange or a normal budgeting process?
So, number one, it's on two sides of the story, 2 to 3 sides of the story. Yes, it's strange. Strange because not enough explanation of notes were attached to that, and up until now, maybe because of the New Year celebrations, those information have not been made public. So until we see what those details are, we may not be able to frankly say if. But one thing we also know is the fact that ahead of 2022 being a year of political correctness, we've anticipated the fact that policy instruments will be used as tools, to drive in for political correctness. Now, whatever political correctness means is very much relative to the government of the day. It also speaks to the fact that there are huge concerns around accountability, all right, fiscal transparency, and the quality of governance we have at the core. All right, so this new budgets were introduced and they were not queried and they were signed into law. That's just to tell you that there are a lot more going on behind the scenes than we know, from looking at it from the outside. But one thing I can fundamentally say is that 2022 is going to be a year of political correctness, and economic variables or the function of the economy will be at the altar or at the expense of what seems to be politically correct ahead of elections. Also, do not forget that this is the first time the APC government will be truly challenged with the ability to hold power. We saw PDP holding power from 1999 to 2015 thereabout, and where they lost it to APC. That's about 16 years. So this will be the first true test of power for APC. So on one end, there is a pressure to make the economy work so that there will be a base to retain power in 2023. On the other end, because of the chaotic and uncertain situation of 2023, all right, there's going to be a lot of mechanisms around how to be politically correct, to win the hearts of Nigerians and all that, even if the economy may likely dwindle a bit when it comes to the core, around improvement and lifestyle and standard of living. So it just tells a lot around the level of fiscal transparency, accountability, and how the 3 tiers of government works. There are no checks and balances. In a Senate climb, there is no way, a significant chunk of over 5,000 plus projects to be added by the legislature, and nobody can question it, and the president goes ahead to sign it immediately. I see this going along the lines of political correctness than what really is priority and how the mechanism should really work in deploying budgets as a policy instrument or as a tool for economic recovery and financing. Yeah.
Oh, fascinating insights as always, Gospel Obele. Let's see how much of political correctness will help this year going forward, this budget. Thank you once again, Gospel Obele, Chief Economist at Streetnomics.
Wishing you a great
Happy New Year.
Thank you.
Happy New Year. More top stories coming your way right here.